Hey, what's going on? My name's Doug Cunnington, and welcome to the Doug Show. I am going to be talking with a friend of mine, Mark Mars from Niche Website Builders, and we're going to talk about industry trends today and some observations that he's had while he's running his agency over there. They do content and they do some link building activities, handful of other things as well. And I'm excited to chat with Mark and find out what's going on in his world. Mark, how are you today?
I'm very good, Doug. Yeah, very well. Enjoying the sunshine for a change. A little bit hot, but luckily I'm kitted out with some air conditioning, so all good.
Yeah, and you work in the your home office there, right? So you actually get quite a bit of. I mean, the lighting's good. Coming from you're in the UK, I wasn't expecting you to have well lit. I thought it's cloudy there all the time, but you actually got some summer over there going on.
It is. I mean, it's getting dark now because it's like 9:15 at night. But yeah, I've got big double French doors, like a couple of skylights, and then I've got the lighting for the podcast as well. So I've got it all going on. Yeah, it's light coming from everywhere.
Real professional. Yeah, I'm down here in the dungeon basement studio, so it's dark. There's no windows, and any lighting you see here is completely artificial. So, well, let's get into the real meat and potatoes here. I do want to open up with some current events. So we are going to be talking industry trends, but at the time we're speaking right now, as we're recording this, Google has recently rolled out some of their Core Web Vitals update in June. There's going to be a second wave, as it were, coming out in July as well. So what do you think about it, Mark?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a scramble on to. I mean, somebody's doing well out of optimizing sites for core speed at the moment. There's quite a good business. I'd imagine it was to be in, but yeah, I mean there does seem to be a mad scramble to if everyone to kind of get this site speed up, and I guess my view on this is that it's probably overcooked. It's probably something that people are overduly worrying about. It's not something that I'm particularly worrying about. There's plenty of reasons to have good site speed, and that was before Google even mentioned Core Web Vitals, before we even knew that was a thing. Now, for example, just from a good user experience, if a page doesn't load quickly, then somebody's going to press back in the browser and they're going to jump off. And for all those reasons, if the page doesn't, the site loads, but the page doesn't become interactive for a few seconds, again, people are just going to get frustrated and come off there. So there's plenty of reasons to have good page speed, and that's something that everyone should have been looking at ahead of Core Web Vitals in any case. So, my view is that, if you can't get green across all the Core Web Vitals, don't worry about it. If it's pretty good and it's fast enough, then that's most likely going to be good. And, the fact is, this isn't going to be like there's hundreds literally of ranking factors that go into, the algorithm. This is just going to be one of them. So let's put it into perspective. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be a ranking factor amongst all of the other ranking factors, and probably a reasonably small one. So, yeah, my view is, calm down, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay.
Do you have a benchmark as far as site load time that you find acceptable? So we've spoke kind of in generalities so far. So yeah, is it like under 5 seconds, under 3 seconds? What do you gauge as fast enough?
I think it depends how you measure it as well, right? Because the machines kind of measure it one way. Like as a human, we'd measure it another way. Like we see a page load and we think it's loaded, but especially if you've got ads on the page, and they pop in later, generally with the ad networks these days, the page is active and we can start scrolling around it, and then the ads sort of start dropping in after. So I don't have a particular kind of speed in mind, and it depends which thing we're talking about for speed here. But if you can get it to amber kind of on the Core Web Vitals, then that's good. If you can get it to a decent in the score in the 80s in GT metrics or something similar, then that's probably good enough for a human, and therefore I would say good enough for Core Web Vitals. I mean, I guess what you've got to consider is what are your competitors doing. So if all your competitors haven't bothered or don't even know about Core Web Vitals because that's not their game, like they're not SEOs maybe, then if you're already the fastest site out there, then why win by a huge distance when you can win by a small distance, like by spending a lot of time or money, optimizing your site even further. So, on the other hand, if all of your competitors have optimized for Core Web Vitals, maybe you do want to think about it a little bit more and pay some money to get it done. But again, I still wouldn't. Let's just wait and see. I don't think it's going to drop off a cliff. Like, let's get some data once these things kick in, and we'll see and take it from there.
I agree with pretty much all you said there. I think people have really gone overboard in some ways, and I guess it depends on who you're hanging out with and the information you're consuming. I shelter myself pretty well, so I know it's out there, but generally my sites load pretty quick, and I'm not too worried, even though I don't have like all greens everywhere. In fact, I'm a little puzzled why in some areas I don't have green, because my sites do load pretty fast. And if you use, say, the Google PSI tool, the Page Speed Insight tool, it may give you great numbers, but then you go in the actual user experience in the Search Console, and you may see, some warnings or the orange color, whatever. So yeah, don't have your site load the slowest of all your peers. Just make sure you're not the slowest, and you'll be okay. It's like when a bear is chasing you. You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your friends.
That's right.
All right. Cool. So let's get into some of the other details. And this is kind of from the front lines out there running your agency. So I didn't let you give a proper intro, but who are you? What do you do over at Niche Website Builders? And how'd you get into this stuff?
Yeah, so I'm Mark Mars, one of the co-founders at Niche Website Builders with my partner, Adam Smith. We run a digital agency for content publishers. We also build our own website. So we kind of, we're in the weeds. We do this stuff. We test stuff on our own sites. So we're working and learning and kind of feeding that stuff into our agency. And also now we work with hundreds of clients. So we get to see kind of a lot of data, and we can kind of feed that into our clients. But in short, we do content, we do link building, we do shotgun skyscraper link building and guest posts and niche edits. On the content side, we do kind of full to end-to-end service. So we'll do keyword research, niche selection, the writing, the uploading, inserting affiliate links if that's what's needed. And we also do done-for-you site builds. So they are generally built to order. So we don't have any kind of pre-built sites. We take whatever niche that you're interested in, or if you want help with that, we can help with that. And I guess the last piece of the puzzle is we work a lot with expired domains. So we've had great success in our own portfolios, but also now working with clients with expired domains. So we offer a expired domain sourcing service where we'll go out and find a domain for you. If you've got a specific niche in mind, depending how niche it is, it might take a while to find something. But generally, we go out and find any domains that we think are really good, that pass our due diligence, that we think would make great sites for a content publisher, and we sell them on our site. So we sell them generally as a package. So they come with an expired domain, a site build, and 100,000 words generally, just to get things kicked off and get things started. So yeah, that's pretty much covers it.
Awesome. Very good. So let's get into some of these industry trends, and just in a general sense, what's new? What's new out there? Is affiliate marketing dead, for example?
So I think one of the things that's people are definitely moving more towards, in my opinion, we're seeing it around just generally that people are moving more towards building info sites, and whether that's building info sites purely and that's it, and just stepping away from affiliate. There's some people that are kind of doing that, or whether just starting from the start of a site, just working on the lowest hanging fruit, which would be informational content versus affiliate content generally. And there's a number of reasons kind of why this is happening. I think it's becoming more saturated out there in terms of affiliate niches. There's just more people and more competition. So it's hard, it's just getting harder and harder to rank. And I'm not saying it's impossible. And there's always generally within a niche, there's generally an angle that you can go for. It really depends kind of what starting place you're starting with, whether you're starting with a new domain or an expired domain, but there's generally something you can go for. Of course, there's the product review update from Google, which, is sort of targeting affiliate sites or low quality affiliate sites. So that kind of is a challenge. The Amazon commission rates, a lot of people use Amazon, so that's coming down. So, and also, the last thing is that, ad networks are just becoming more viable as a source of income. They, historically, 10 years ago, it'd be hard to make any money really from ads, but now they're becoming better and better, and you can make, a decent income from just ads alone. So definitely not saying affiliate's dead, but it's kind of, it becomes part of the mix, and definitely people are focusing more from what I'm seeing. And what I'm doing myself with my own portfolio is that, I'm working more with info content, just ranking, building up a whole bank of traffic before even stepping into kind of other monetization strategies. So the goal is just to get it on the Zoic or Mediavine or whatever as quick as possible, start getting some ad income, and then look at where we're expanding from there.
Yeah, and shout out to eZoic, who recently removed the page view minimum. So it used to be 10,000, and they were one of the, lowest barriers to entry, even though, they have a great network and it's a good company to work with. So they've removed that. So now any publisher can come in, and I've mentioned it a few times before. The advertisers want to get in front of people. They don't care if your site gets, 100 views or 100,000 views per month. They just want to get their ads in front of the right people. So from a advertising standpoint, it makes sense for everyone. And now, eZoic has opened that up for any publisher that wants to get on board. So now I've even done this myself too, where I have a site and it was getting more traction in the informational area. So I've leaned into that more. And like you said, as Amazon they changed their commission rate again in April 2020. So that made people pause again. It cut commissions for the people that were already earning from Amazon. So the market's shifting a little bit. And I think, but I can't remember if we said this in our last interview, Mark, but I know if you have traffic, usually you could figure out something to do with it. So the market, us as publishers, are sort of shifting to that area. So yeah, it sounds like when people come in and they ask for content, then right, so they'll order content and they'll say, "Oh, we want mostly informational content." Is that what's happening? That's your data?
Yeah, there's still a mix, but we're kind of leading people down that path as well. We as an agency, we're not just a kind of order hands-off kind of service and kind of you get it back via an email. We every client that we have, we kind of have an onboarding call and we talk to you regularly. So, if you like, it's kind of free consultancy or free, advice, or, it's a conversation like this quite often. It's like, depending on how experienced is the person we're speaking to, we kind of throw some ideas around and kind of come up with things. So we're very much involved in the day-to-day of people and growing their sites. We're kind of leading them quite often down that path. We've got our FAQ content service now, which is kind of really working well for informational content as well. So for optimizing existing, or should I say, refreshing existing posts, FAQ kind of content's really good. We're definitely seeing a trend amongst our clients anyway of people taking that service on. Because they're seeing the value in it, and also once we've kind of done a little bit of content, they're kind of seeing the results and they're kind of doing some more. So yeah, I can't remember the original question, but
sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So are we generally seeing more info? Yes, we are, and across the board, and yes, in general we are. But as I say, we're generally leading people in that direction as well. Quite often, even if it's an affiliate site, we're looking at trying to work with like 50-50 in terms of info and affiliate content.
Okay.
As a minimum.
Got it. And do you have any tips for people that are approaching, maybe they haven't started their site yet, or they're just about to start publishing content, maybe they're still finding the keywords, for example, and they do want to lean more into the informational area. So I'll give you two parts. You can answer one or both of them. One is, do you have any tips on finding those keywords? And then the other is there a particular way you like to structure that informational content? That's a common question I get. How do I write an article? What do I do? How do I format it?
So in terms of we're finding something that's working really well for us, especially in terms of working with an expired domain. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but we are using a method that is getting great results, and I can share some of the results I've been getting with one of my sites in a little while, if you'd like. But the way that we're working is we kind of use some tools to work out who your competitors are, and we kind of get a big list of competitors, and we use a bunch of different industry metrics such as domain authority, page authority, domain rating, trust flow, all of those things, and we kind of quite simply we just add them together, and that kind of gives us a number at the end, and it kind of gives us a rough idea of, in terms of authority, like where you exist in your world, in your landscape. So what sites are doing well and above you or higher authority than you, and which sites are lower authority than you. And then we're taking all of those sites that are lower authority to us and checking out, what keywords is it they're ranking for. This isn't necessarily just info content, info articles. It could be anything, but we're taking a look at where all their traffic's coming from. So we then take the best articles, if you like, the best ranking articles or the best keywords, and saying, well, if they can rank for it with a low authority site and getting a lot of traffic, then we should be able to. And really what this comes down to is, when you're writing a lot of content and you put it on a site and you do traditional kind of keyword research, you're going to find that a bunch of those articles just don't rank and never will rank. And, we talk about 80% of your traffic coming from 20% of your content. And that's really true. But what we're finding is that we can get better results and have more than 20% of that content ranking because those people that are below us in terms of authority have already done that hard work for us. So they've done all the research, they put all the content out, they've seen which keywords and which they can rank for. And then we're going, okay, great. We see that you can rank for that. We'll take the top 20 pages from that site, the top 20 pages from that site, top 20 pages from that site, top 20 pages, and then kind of build a plan around those keywords. And it's getting us like really, really good results kind of doing it that way. And I'll keep trying to tell Adam that we need to come up with a fancy name for this technique, right? So I've got a name, which I'll tell you what it is now. It's called tombstoning, right? So tombstoning, is that right? No, tomb raiding, not tombstoning, tomb raiding. So yeah, I haven't got it right myself yet. So the idea is that, tomb raiders, they would go and like find all the jewels in the tomb. So if you think of a website as a tomb, you're going to find all of the jewels that are kind of in those websites and the ones that you can kind of just cherry pick out and kind of get ranking. So that's working like really well for us. And yes, getting some really good results.
Awesome. Yeah, that is a great tip to look at all the metrics across the board from the different tools, and then you add them up and you get that single number. I have a suggestion with the tomb rating. I think that's probably copywritten because there's a video game or something like that. So
well, Tomb Raider, but Tomb Raiding was around before Tomb Raider, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? It's obviously a different industry, so you may be able to get away with it, but from a trademark perspective, you may have to, and you also have to explain it too. So, although
that's true,
good explanation, you could have a little cartoon or something like that. That's fantastic. I've heard it mentioned in some different criteria and different ways to look at it, but that is a trend that I've seen people go for low competition keywords and the ways to find them. Now, the part 2 of that, I'll ask it because I know it'll be helpful for people. How do you structure the content for informational topics?
I guess we do kind of some kind of correlation generally in terms of once we found those low hanging fruits in terms of our competitors' keywords, then we're looking at kind of how they're structuring this. So we're not necessarily trying to. It's not a consistent thing. I guess what I'm saying every single time, depending on the niche, depending on the topic. What would be a good article or an article that's likely to rank could be different every time. But what we do generally try to do, and it's across our affiliate sites and across affiliate content and info content, is kind of add some of those FAQs. It's like great for topical relevance. If Google thinks people are searching for this or knows people are searching for these topics, these questions within a topic area, then if you can kind of answer a bunch of those questions and kind of then you're likely to gain some topical relevance for that. So that's something that we're doing quite often. But in terms of informational content, it really depends. Like it at the end of the day, it's a load of text with headings, right? Generally, some images. So yeah,
right on. And the perfect answer to that question. Thanks for going along with it. That's a tough question because I get it often, and generally I just say, well, you're writing an essay. So it's a lot of times I'll hear this from people that have never published content. Maybe they haven't been in school in a while, but you're literally just writing an essay. So a person could go study how to write an essay, but really, I mean, like you said, you have a keyword, you're covering a topic. It's going to be different for different sorts of topics. If it's in how-to article, like how to unclog your toilet or something like that, maybe there's step-by-step
we've written that one.
Yeah, right. It's
Really?
a critical problem to solve. Yeah, if you have that problem, you need that information. Yeah. Images, right? Some graphic images for how to unclog your toilet, perhaps. But the point is, it's going to be different. But it is a super common question that I get is, how do we format it? And I know when I first was publishing some content on my sites, when I first got started, I didn't know what to put on there. So I was really struggling to hit 400 words way back. So awesome. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on your mind as far as content goes?
Yeah, I guess that just what I was alluding to before, like this, it's definitely kind of a trend towards using expired domains. We've got marketplaces popping up for expired domains. For ourselves, we source and buy and then sell kind of domains. But that combination of expired domains and then low-hanging, like informational content, and then finding yourself in that kind of authority kind of landscape, and then picking the people below works really well because you've already got some authority. If you're starting at the bottom, you're at the bottom. There's nobody below you. But we're getting some really good results. And just to give you an example of one of the site that I'm working on at the moment, I started at the end of December, like around Christmas time, and so it's less than 6 months old. And I got picked up an expired domain. I chose the niche first, and then got an expired domain. So it was the only one that I could find that would fit it. But it's around about DR12. So it's nothing huge, but it's like aged. It's been around for not a long period of time either, but like 6 or 7 years. The DR12, and just started putting content on it because I didn't need to build any links. It's already got some inherent value there in terms of links. And yesterday was its biggest day. It's been growing every day, and it was 4,100 sessions yesterday. So that run rate are about 120,000 sessions a month, and it's only going up because I'm just piling lots of content on. So I had a look before the call. So I think it's about 450,000 words I've got at the moment, over about 250 articles. So it's about 1,800 words an article on average, but that's kind of all I really needed. And but I don't think it's going to, if I stop now, like all of that content that I'm putting on is still going to age. So I expect it to be well over 150, 160,000, maybe even as much as 200,000 just for the content that I've got as it ages over the next kind of 6 months or so. So, but I'm not stopping. I mean, I'm just keeping going. Like I'm onto a winning thing. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I'll just highlight that again. So it was a DR12. So it just has a handful of links of relatively low authority and domain rating. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was semi-good links in there, I suppose. So it was a low domain rating, but the links, it was a failed Kickstarter campaign. So it did have some kind of new, like high authority kind of news links because it was newsworthy at one point in time for its Kickstarter project, and it's got a few of those in there, which is something that we kind of look for quite often with our domains. But it wasn't many, and then the rest was kind of just that kind of mid to low authority links. So yeah, DR12, it's got like 80 referring domains or something,
You picked the niche beforehand, and then you waited for a domain to become available, show up on your radar. How'd you pick the niche?
It's an informational content. So it's all informational content at the moment. So I'm finding I'm looking for lots of opportunities where I can write a lot of content, a lot of informational content. So the site could be huge. But doing some research to find out, just how difficult it would be to rank for these. So I'm quite liking the idea at the moment of doing kind of dictionary type websites. So by that, I mean, you could have stuff put into categories. So for example, let me think.
Like an affiliate marketing dictionary. How about that?
Yeah, something like that. It could be an affiliate marketing dictionary. I was trying to think of one that wasn't one of the ones that I've started. So that was like, yeah. But yeah, so so something like that might be good. So you'd have maybe all the things that begin with A and all the things that begin with C, B and C and D. But it kind of goes beyond that. It doesn't have. It wouldn't necessarily. We're not just talking about individual words here, but for example, if I think of like plants, just looking in like in the background here. So like plants, like you'd have all sorts of different plants with different names. How do you look after them? How do you, all those things that kind of come with that, and that you can kind of put into like a big dictionary or a glossary, and kind of that's how kind of I'm thinking about it. But one thing that we're always thinking about as well is kind of how can we take this further and to be a real genuine business kind of longer term as well. So, could I move into e-commerce or drop shipping later on? People are passionate about plants. Can I get a mailing list together and then have like a course, or, there's lots of things that, and the plants one's actually quite good because there's lots of different examples of ways that you could kind of go longer term with that. It's kind of like, you could do it for beer, Doug, like for if you're interested, or like, or wine or kind of whatever, you could kind of go down that route as well. But for those kind of things that people are like get passionate about, of like beer brewing and stuff like that, people are super passionate about that. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of topics that people talk about in terms of brewing and different types of beer and all those kind of things. So once you start thinking about it, and there's just no shortage. Like where we have a shortage, it feels sometimes, of options in the affiliate world. You could write on so many different things when it comes to like informational content.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's like the beer example, you could go and, I mean, there are websites where people put in their tasting notes. It's user generated content, but there's a huge amount of it, lots of traffic. There's apps and all sorts of other details behind it. And yeah, exactly like you said, you can have online courses with it, or you could be an affiliate for those courses. There's tons of opportunities. So, okay. So
how are you going about finding your info content, Doug? So are you using a KGR a lot to do that these days? Or like what are you doing in terms of, finding your info content?
A lot of a combo of several things. So KGR a little bit, but oftentimes I'm looking for Google auto suggest things. Generally, I have a pretty good idea like what sites are ranking for already and what my site is ranking for already, and then I'll look to just really exhaust that area. So if it, we'll stick with the beer area. If I was doing really good with like a specific Belgian beer, like a triple, maybe I think, oh, you know what? I'm going to do all the Belgian beers that I can find and just Google likes it in that topic area. I'm just going to hammer it down, that specific one. And then if possible, it's not always possible, but if I can go to say like YouTube and see that it's a very popular topic, YouTubers are covering it, but they're not, it's not really out there in the written word, maybe that's a good topic. Now, if it's something visual where you really need the video behind it, of course, that's not going to work as well, but maybe you could be creative, or maybe you have those beers on hand and you could take a lot of pictures of them. So, but I mean, like you said, find low competition, or find competitors, find those low competition keywords where sites are ranking that don't have many links. Maybe the content isn't even that great. And there are so many of them. There are so many sites, especially if you start doing long tail keyword research, those just pop to the top, and then you can, like you said, find the competitors. Love your method to combine all the metrics and just get a unified number. You could find really strange metrics if you look, where Ahrefs hates a site, but maybe Moz loves it, so the DA is really high because there's a few links that Moz really likes for some reason. So
Yeah, we try and average it out. Yeah, it averages it out a little bit, gives it a little bit more. But the beer brewing one's great as well, right? Because it could be courses as well down the road, like a YouTube channel, definitely. Products, that you could either affiliate for or create, or there's quite a lot of scope there. How come you haven't done a beer site yet, But
Yeah, you know what? I have thought about it, and then our I think mutual friends Otis over there, ODYS with the age domains. At least they're my friends over there. I know you guys worked with them in the past, but there are a number of beer related domains over there, and I've been covering them, and I thought, gosh, maybe I should just buy all of them, and there's several like homebrew beer sites too. I have a few friends in it, but yeah, it's one of those things where I have just a few too many projects already, and then if I added one where I was potentially forced to drink, then well, I'm not going to be able to finish everything I need to finish. So yeah, it could be someday. I have talked to my friend Matt Giovanisi, who has a site called Brew Cabin, and I've told him a couple times, like, hey, if you do a podcast or you do like interviews for the YouTube channel, then I'll sit in. I could be a co-host on a show or something. But yeah, I no plans in the future for anything beer related. Funny enough.
Cool.
All right. So let's move on to link building. And you guys have a couple services over there. I've been part of the Shotgun Skyscraper campaign for many months and got so many links, so many awesome links. So any observations on the link building front? What's changed perhaps?
Yeah, I think in terms of Shotgun Skyscraper in particular, that I guess not a lot has changed in the last 6 months for that, but that's because a lot changed in the year prior to that. In that, when we first launched the service, it was quite easy to kind of get free links. We could get quite a lot of free links, quite a high percentage of free links. It really depends on the niche, but in some niches we were getting 70% free links as part of outreach, whereas a lot of the time now you have to pay for a link in some capacity. You can't. People just become more savvy, even in the niches historically that they weren't necessarily savvy. So in that time, it's a much lower percentage of free links that we can get. So we kind of been living that kind of world. We kind of changed the pricing of our service a little bit to kind of to cater for that. That changed. That there was much more expenditure that we needed to do in terms of paying for links than we historically needed to do. But it's still a great way to find good opportunities, and it still works out a pretty good value compared to other kind of outreach methods. And I always like Shotgun as well, because it's not just picking kind of from a database. They have different kind of needs, the guest posting and the niche edits, and there's advantages to both. But when you're doing outreach and you're picking up and finding sites that are just genuine sites and getting links from those, that's just great. If they're kind of untouched and untainted by kind of more aggressive kind of link building tactics. So,
do you have any tips for finding those kind of sites that are not going to ask for a payment?
No, because there's not many left now. If you've got any tips, that'd be great. But no, we're doing outreach kind of at scale with Shotgun Skyscrapers. We reach out to a lot of websites, but there's just not many that do. I mean, we still get free links. I mean, there's still a percentage links. I can't remember what that is now, but maybe it's 10%, something along those lines, that will get free links for us. But again, it depends a little bit on the niche. But
okay.
I wouldn't say the way that we did the outreach, there's no particular way of kind of knowing that you're going to be able to get a free link from somebody.
Gotcha. So roughly 90% of the links are paid.
In some capacity, yeah.
Okay.
Generally, it's mixed. So, I mean, things like gambling or CBD niches, it's just 100%, and they charge you a lot more. Whereas others just, if especially if it's a guest post or something like that, then people are just want some payment for their time to upload the post. So it's not always a lot that people are asking for. They just want to cover their costs to a certain extent, or cover their time. So it's mixed.
What's the average, would you say, that you're paying for like a Shotgun Skyscraper where it's like primo content, it is link worthy? How much you pay in those sites?
So, yeah, I mean, what's worth pointing out there is that there's only so much we can pay to kind of fit within the service. So there are other opportunities. Our basic package is $795 a month. So we can't go paying $200 or $300 a month for a link, because that just wouldn't would be nothing left. So our average is probably a bit skewed to what you probably should pay, and the average. But we tend to pay $25, $30 on average for links. But we're trying to find the good links at that price, kind of thing. So, and they do exist. And so are those ones where they were free before, and now they charge a little bit. They can still be great links, but they're just charging you $25 for it, when actually probably it's worth a lot more. But they've kind of just stepped from free to a small payment. Whereas what we do with our clients is that we don't let any link pass by, though. So if there is a link that's $80 or $100, then we'll put it on our client sheet and say, this link's a great link, it's well worth the $80, $100, but we can't get it for you as part of this service because of the pricing. But if you want to go ahead and pay it for yourself, we can kind of just get it placed for you if you want to pay the extra. So that's why, just caveat there on like what we pay on average, like that. You probably should be a lot higher than that, but you would be if you were doing it yourself.
Okay, got it. How many emails company wide are you sending out per day, for example?
Oh man. So it works out, like, we haven't worked it out for a while, to be honest. So, but we're sending more, like, just, yeah. So I think, I think broadly, like, if we say 1 million a month, that's probably fair. Maybe a few more, but that includes follow-ups as well. So that's not new, all new emails. So we generally do 2 follow-ups as part of any outreach exercise. So yeah, around about 1 million, I would say.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of emails, man. That's pretty crazy. What app do you use if you want to give them a plug? Although I'd hate to have the internet be flooded with even more emails, but yeah, what do you use to send all those emails?
Yeah, so we're using Mailshake. We moved to Hunter's tool for a little while, but we found the delivery rate, which wasn't as good. And Hunter is it was originally started as a tool for finding email addresses. So you basically plug in the URL, and it'll tell you all the emails that it knows. It essentially scrapes the web for email addresses full time, and any emails it finds, it'll just assign it to that domain. So, and then they provided, as part of that service for free, a email marketing tool, just very similar to Mailshake. But we started using it, and it just wasn't getting us the same results. So we flipped back, and we're paying again for Mailshake. So yeah, that's the tool we used. We did. I can't even remember what the name of the tool now. We had to look at another one of the more expensive tools. Wish I could remember what it's called now. But again, that just wasn't going to be a right fit for like kind of what we wanted and the volume that we were going to send. So we sent through Mailshake. We use a email warm-up service now, which we hadn't done for a while. We used to just start very, very slowly and ramp it up very, very slowly. Now we use a warm-up service. For people that don't know what that is, essentially it will start sending emails on your behalf, but also receiving emails on your for you, and it will. When you send emails, they've basically got a network of mailboxes, like hundreds of mailboxes. You send emails to these email addresses through the API. They will automatically reply to those emails, and they will. If your email goes into spam, they'll dig it out of spam as well, and that's kind of all automated. So just to gain some kind of credibility and some trust, because you don't want to get caught up with spam filters. So, we sign on a client. Generally, the Shotgun Skyscraper, it takes a month of setup. So we have a month of mailbox warm up in that time, where we've had interactions and things going backwards and forwards, and our emails moved out of spam. So by the time we're doing outreach, we should get a much higher and longer term delivery. Over time, like the deliverability of any mailbox is going to go down. So we continue to run the warm up service. It still goes down, just goes down a lot more slowly.
That blows me away. I didn't know that there were now services to warm up email addresses for, no offense, but spammers out there sending out a bunch of garbage emails. It's not personally directed at you. It's how marketing works. But the market size is so big that services now send bullshit emails to each other or to emails to bullshit accounts so that they can now send emails and have them delivered. It's hilarious. But I mean, it shows the ingenuity of the industry. And then people are thinking, here's a problem that we can solve by automating bullshit email accounts to each other. Hilarious. How much does a service cost to warm up one email address?
So it's not actually that bad. Like it used to be, most of them were really quite expensive, because I think there's a lot of infrastructure that goes on behind the scenes. And it used to be, I wish I could remember the pricing, but it was something that was almost too expensive. It was like $79 a month or something for one mailbox, which is just a lot. Well, we've managed to find one that's a lot cheaper. And it's working quite well for us. It's kind of more of a new kid on the block. I can't remember offhand. It's like $10-$20 instead of what a lot of the others charge.
Oh man. Well, business idea for anyone out there who has more time than money. You could probably do it manually, set up some pretty simple filters and send some emails back and forth. Crazy. Okay. Sorry, we went down that rabbit hole. Okay, so we were talking about link building. Any other sort of general observations? I know you also do guest posting and the niche edits as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that part of the business hasn't changed much over the year. I think still people are more savvy. Probably the average price is kind of going up in terms of what people are charging, just again because people are becoming more savvy and knowing what the value of a link is. But we've been running that service for like six months or so. Generally, digital PR seems to be a buzz term. Again, it's digital PR has been around for as long as I've been doing SEO, like 10, 15 years, But again, it's kind of come around full circle. And I think it's just, people's desire to kind of get some, I think with the rise of Haro as well, which, you talk about quite a lot with your course and everything, that's one way to kind of get in contact with a reporter. But, there's many, many other ways of doing that. Social media gives us a lot of access. There's reporter kind of database services that you can kind of pay for, where you can kind of pitch to reporters and things. So there's lots of, opportunities. I guess they weren't there like 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, to actually get in front or get to talk to or get in contact with an actual reporter from a decent newspaper or a publication, then it was really hard to do that, almost virtually impossible. But now, there's just so much more access, and I think probably the rise of that, and I think it's good for reporters as well, because reporters, they want an easy life. They're busy. They've got deadlines. They need to get a story out quick. They need to find the people, the experts or the people that are knowledgeable in that field quickly. I think it's a mutually beneficial thing that actually it's easier for people for those two worlds to kind of connect with each other. But definitely digital PR, people are focusing more on for those kind of higher quality links. It's kind of more manual. It's definitely something that you have to kind of do by hand, like you do with Haro. But the reward can be really good
for people. And actually, me too. What are the activities and deliverables that digital PR encompasses, or at least in your definition?
So I think it's similar, except that you're doing outreach. You're doing outreach to reporters, or in terms of Haro, then you're waiting for the reporter to come to you generally. So you're sitting there waiting for them to request experts, and hopefully it can kind of fit with your niche or fit with one of your niches or something like that, and hopefully you can pick up from time to time. And then there's literally kind of pitching stories. So I think the other thing that goes with digital PR is thinking about what's the time of year and what's topical right now. One I haven't done a lot of digital PR myself, but I know the one thing that people always look for is, okay, well, what's coming up? Okay, like the 4th of July is coming up. So 4th of July is coming up. So let's look at last year. This is kind of a little tip. I don't know where I picked it up from. So sorry, whoever said this is an idea, but take a look at what publications did last 4th of July and look at who the reporter was for that publication, who wrote that article, who was the reporter, because the chances are they've got that job again this year, or they're the right person. So if you can get ahead of the game and say 3 weeks ahead of the 4th of July, obviously you want to originally search for niches that fit with you, but you search for niches that fit with you, see what they did, or if it's a general news site or whatever you're going for, and then you can kind of go, okay, well, they did the top 10, I don't know, whatever's for 4th of July, and maybe we can be one of those, and they had like expert things. So actually reaching out to them 3 weeks early and say, we got this, they think this would be great for your 4th of July roundup. That'd be great, because like you're ahead of the game. They've got 1 out of their 10 they need to get, and they only need to get 9 more. And that can be quite good, I think. And you kind of know the person to reach out to, because they did it last year. So looking for those kind of key dates throughout the year can kind of be a really good way of
really smart
kind of opportunities.
I haven't heard of that. Yeah, that's brilliant. And, you could probably reach out on social media in some capacity, wherever that reporter is, most active, probably Twitter, not necessarily though. Very cool. All right. And I'm going to throw a few different link building ideas at you as well. I recently wanted to experiment a little with like forum link building, and I've heard of it for years, and I knew someone, 4-5 years back, that was sort of like their primary link building method, and it worked great. They would actually get a little referral traffic, but it also was helpful as far as rankings. And I've never done it. So I hired a few people on Upwork, and some were terrible, some were okay. I don't have any actual results because it's been like too fresh, but looking through, some of the links actually will bring in a little bit of traffic. Some of them were silly. They would hide the links in like a period or a blank space so that the link wouldn't be detected and kicked out as spam. So wide range. So forum link building. Mark, have you checked this out before? Have you heard people that have used it successfully?
Yeah, a long time ago, I guess. Like, the problem with forums is then they're generally no follow links. So they're not going to be carrying much juice with them. It's not something I've looked at or tried for a long time. But if you can find the right forums, I guess, for referral traffic, and then that I could definitely see how that would be good. But I can imagine you try having to get a lot to find the one that's like gets you a decent amount of traffic. So in terms of link juice, I would say it's probably not that good, and definitely wouldn't recommend hiding links in periods or in spaces, because that's not going to do that's not going to do very good for your anchor links. Sorry, your anchor profile on your site. So you don't really want to be doing that. So.
Right. It's funny too. Oh, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
On a site a few years ago, I was seeing links coming in that had either a period or blank anchor text. And I think it was like negative SEO. Someone was just sending links to a particular site of mine. I couldn't figure out why I was getting links with weird anchor text and why they were showing up in such high percentages. But I think that was why.
Yeah.
All right.
But the other thing is there just to, I think it's okay to do it as part of the mix, but with all of these things, you don't want to be doing 100% of that, forum press. So if it's a small percentage, then that probably looks genuine and probably helps to some extent. Helps your backlink profile look genuine instead of just buying, loads and loads of DR60+ plus guest posts or links when you haven't got a nice split across the range and a mix of no follow and do follow. But you want to, I would like to see your results. I'd imagine it has little effect in terms of organic traffic or organic boost, but maybe some referral traffic.
Yeah, like normal, there are too many variables, and I don't think I'm going to actually be able to tease out what happened. So I have probably a few weeks where I maybe can see, but I know some of the bad links, which were clearly not that great, are not going to help. But some of the forums were fairly active, and I did select topics that lended themselves to being in forums. So people could take that. I can't be too specific, but it was a good topic to be in various forums. And I think because of that, some of them may be okay. And then, I hired 4 random people from Upwork to do it. So like I said, some of them were doing like really weird things, and others, they were on top of it. They have, a database of forums that are good. Some of them are do follow, funny enough, but okay. So that's forum link building. Next, blog commenting. So I actually have a video out there that's several years old with blog commenting, and it is, one of those videos that people do search for, and it shows up. So I'll give my quick comment about blog commenting. I don't think that you're going to rank just from putting some blog comments out there. And I don't recommend that people put in their link in the comment unless it's super hyper relevant in answering a question that someone literally asked, because it's probably not going to work. But blog commenting, do you have any thoughts on that one, Mark?
I think it's similar. It's similar to a forum in some way. So, like, generally, again, the comments are no follow. All of the tools are kind of set up that way. So, WordPress comments, you set that up by default. All the links will be no follow in there. I think it's very similar to forum link building. Like, I think it's okay as part of the mix. You're not going to get great results, I don't think, in terms of getting link juice passed over. And even with forums or with comments, I think even if it is a do follow, Google knows what sites are forum and what sites and what's comments on a blog post. So even if it is do follow, I imagine that it's probably devalued anyway to a certain extent. So I think it's okay. I think if you can kind of get some referral traffic from it, because it's going to be useful. But like you're saying, you probably don't want to put the link in the comment either. So you're probably putting the link on your profile name or something like that. So are people going to click on that and click through? I don't know. So I think my opinion is probably little value in that as well. But I would, yeah. I haven't tried it for a long time. It's something that used to work,
right?
But I don't know anymore.
Yeah, and I think unless you're getting referral traffic, I think even a no follow link with referral traffic is going to have some value. So if you actually have someone comment on a blog, or actually don't hire anyone, but if someone commented on a blog and put your link in there because it was a really good one, and then a lot of the readers followed it, that's probably a pretty good link. And I mean, I've had that happen. It's been a long time ago though. I mean, people just don't comment as much. You're probably more likely to have someone share your post or whatever it is in Facebook versus anything else, or Pinterest, for example. So very cool. Well, any other link building thoughts on your mind?
No, I think that's it. I mean, the other thing that I kind of do sometimes with some of my sites is think about having building up that kind of as McDiggerty would say, like that social fortress, where you're starting out a brand new business, and kind of what does that look like? It kind of links with a new business kind of setup. So like directory kind of listings, and kind of setting up social media profiles. I pretty much always set up some social media profiles for any site that I start. So I'll set up like a Facebook profile, Pinterest profile, and put some posts on there and things like that. And just not necessarily, it might not take it any further than that, but at least it's kind of got some social profiles. If you want to go really far, you can kind of get the Google business kind of account as well, and really take it to the next level. But which a domain I acquired actually used to be a real business, and it already had a Google My Business associated with it. So I just claimed that, and just changed the address on it. The address, I get the card comes through to me, and I just put the pin in, and now I've got like a Google My Business associated with that niche site. So there's things like that, I think, which are good, which kind of all of these things, again, not going to give you much value in terms of juice, because they're all going to be the directory listings are not going to be, to follow links and stuff. But again, it just makes you kind of look more genuine, and it makes your backlink profile just look more rounded in general.
I'm going to backtrack just a touch and ask about the metrics that you look at for the Shotgun Skyscraper. So whether it's the domain rating or authority, or maybe the amount of estimated organic traffic per month.
This low, yeah. I mean, we use a bunch of. We have due diligence on every link that we build for our clients. So there's a ton of checks. I think it's kind of 17 kind of checks that can be done almost like by just looking at data. And then there's kind of some other checks, kind of just only the human eye can kind of do and check for. But we'll do things like we'll check Wayback Machine, and we'll go through every single year in Wayback Machine and check that the site was never used for like purposes we just wouldn't want to be associated. So like Viagra or porn or stuff like that. But also, has it flipped has somebody started a pet site and then someone turned it into a finance site and then it's become a pet site again? Like, has it got a confused backlink profile? So we kind of look at the backlinks, we check that they are relevant to kind of the site that we're kind of proposing that we're going to start. So do we have that kind of relevancy? So if we do start that site, we've got good relevant backlinks. We do check DR, but again, we take that amongst kind of a lot of other things. We don't necessarily have a bot. In terms of the DR. So we don't have. I'm just thinking about it in terms of the Shotgun Skyscraper rather than. So I was thinking about inspired domains there, but in terms of Shotgun Skyscraper, yeah, I mean, we use that as a kind of a gauge. It's just a metric, but we generally don't go for domains that are above like a DR 80 in terms of Shotgun Skyscraper, because they're just huge sites that are generally never going to give you a backlink just from an outreach email. So it's just a wasted email. It's kind of diminishing returns. So we'll do that. We'll look at anchor text to make sure there's nothing there. We look at traffic. There's a minimum 100 sessions 100 in terms of traffic in Ahrefs for our Shotgun Skyscraper, and 1,000 for our guest posts and niche edits. That number's a low estimate generally in Ahrefs anyway. So it's the actual traffic levels are a lot higher than that. So we have that. We also look at the ratio of inbound links and outbound links. So if it's got a much higher percentage of outbound links, the suggestion is there that it's used as a link farm, and that's kind of their business. And they've got, and if we can identify that, then Google can identify that, and they're probably going to lower the value of that link. So it's probably not worth us paying for, or even just pursuing getting that link, because it's not going to be worth it. There's a few things, but that's probably that's about 5 out of sort of 17 that we're kind of looking at.
And for the outbound to inbound link ratio, do you recall like roughly what you're looking for there?
Yeah, I think it can be quite high, like the number of links outbound. So I think if we've got 15% inbound versus outbound, then that's fine. We're not looking for 50-50 or anything of that nature. Okay. But if it's 15% inbound versus outbound, that's fine. But
to 15%, is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, 15's fine. You don't have to go. It doesn't have to, like I say, it doesn't have to be 50-50, but 15% is fine. But you just don't want to. What we do find is that you can get 98-99% kind of outbound links, and then that's a kind of more of a problem.
It's pretty clear. Yeah, and you do run across those link farms. I've tested many services out there, and occasionally you just see like a site that only publishes guest posts and they basically have no links coming in. So, okay, very interesting. And then sort of wrapping it up and another hard question where I'm going to ask you about metrics or guidelines and what you look for those aged or expired domains.
Yeah. So again, there's kind of a similar number of kind of metrics and it's similar stuff that we're looking for, because when it comes down to, so we look at DR and we take that as it is. We look at trust flow, but then we take that with a pinch of salt as well. Like if it's got a lowish trust flow, but everything else looks good, then that can be fine. If we manually check the backlink profile and the trust looks good to us, then that's good. Again, we're looking at anchor text to make sure again that the site hasn't got a bad history. We are looking at like historical traffics, like quite a good thing. We're looking at Wayback Machine to kind of get an idea of like what the site was historically. Will it fall in line with a niche that we're going to monetize through ads or affiliate? Is that something that we can kind of, or can we steer it and adapt it to be that based on what it was before and based on its backlink profile? I haven't got them to hand the stuff that Adam and I go through it all the time. So you can use in SEMrush as well. There's kind of quite a nice view when you look at the backlink analysis, where it kind of tells you what it thinks that the backlink profile looks like. And there's also, it gives you an idea of what relevance the current site is on there, if there is a current site, or what if it's a recently expired domain, it'll tell you what it thought the site was about. So it kind of gives you kind of an idea from a machine's point of view, kind of what it thought that site was about and what it is about in terms of the profile, backlink profile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, and just as the example and case study that you mentioned before, where you got a site that's now getting something like 120,000 visitors per month in 6 months or so, I had a DR of 12. So metrics wise, it didn't look that impressive, but it must be highly relevant in the right sort of backlink profile and low competition keywords. So if you have the right mix together, the actual metrics may not matter as much. So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, there's value even just having a domain that's aged, right? I mean, because you're skipping that sandbox period, you're skipping the first 6 to 9 months. When I've started with new domains, quite often even at that you see kind of different jumps at the time, but even at that 2-year point, quite often you almost see like a second sandbox. Whereas you get the first one, which is the biggest one, and then you get a second one quite often around that 2-year mark, where you see another like uplift. So if you take that, Google's probably not trusting you fully for 2 years from a new domain, and the handbrake's always slightly on. Whereas if you working with an expired domain, that domain might have already been around for 20 years. It's got plenty of trust. It's been aged. So even just finding a domain with a low authority is going to serve you better. You just got to watch out for the right things and not get caught picking up the wrong kind of domain, because it's very easy to do if you're to the untrained eye.
Right. Very cool. Well, any other thoughts, Mark, before we wrap it up?
I don't think so, Doug. I think we covered a lot there. So yeah, thanks for this today.
Awesome. Where can people find you?
They can head over to nichewebsite.builders or nichewebsite.builders, depending on which part of the world you come from. There you'll find all of our services. You can go to our Facebook pages, which is Niche Website Builders is one of them. So just straight the same as the company name, and then Niche Website Flippers is the other one for people who like to find opportunities to buy and sell websites. We also have a YouTube channel and a podcast. So if you head over to the website, click on the podcast, and that'll have all the links off to our YouTube channels and podcasts as well, depending on what app you use for that.
All right. We'll put links out there so it's easy for everyone to check out your stuff. And thanks, Mark. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Doug.